Just gonna make a short video of a grill that built recently with some help from a family member. Um, Basically started with a half-inch pipe. It's half-inch by 5.5 feet, I believe, and went with real heavy gauge so we have good heat retention. Really has worked out well. True-Tel gauges on it. Basic platform is a Northern Tool utility trailer. Got it brand new for like $250, I think, is what I paid for it. And welded a piece of diamond plate on there to stiffen it up real good. And then, as you can see, right here, we rested on a cradle of basically the end caps. We cut them out, and then the drop that was left over, we use that as a base for to weld it to the trailer, and it worked out really well. The nice thing about this is it keeps the grill nice and low to the ground, so it tows really good, and it also makes it really easy to work with the grill whenever you're messing with the food. This stuff here, it's called shaker screen. It's basically a 3/8 inch thick steel expanded metal, but man, does that stuff really work good for shelving and also for grates inside. I'll show you what it looks like. Cooking a brisket in a Boston butt right now, but this stuff is really heavy duty. So I mean, you can put anything on there. This stuff will last forever. Basically, the inside of the grill, I have four shelves, and they're interchangeable. Obviously, top to top and bottom to bottom, but also the inside of it. Give you an idea, I use what they call a reverse flow style. Have a baffle plate in the bottom with a slight bend in it, and there's a drain hole that's right down in here, and then there's also a drain that down in here that leads to the outside, so that you get for easy cleanup. And we welded the handles to it. These are really nice bullet style hinges on the whole grill with grease fittings, which makes it really nice to keep the doors and everything nice and smooth and from binding up. And then your stops, we welded these stops on the back so they're both even. And then we have a I think it's a 5.5 inch tube, and welded up this handle so you can tune it real easy. And then moving down here to the firebox, that's made out of 1/4 inch. The whole thing's made out of 1/4 inch, and we also have the greasable bullet style hinges on that. And inside for the grate, I used we used 1/2 inch angle iron. We just flipped it over. The thought being that when you put the wood on there to burn, as it falls apart, it'll just drop down between the gaps, and it works out really well. Did a little grill on here for boiling water and grilling beans and things like that. We also made some adapters that go on top to give you different spaces for different levels of heat that you want, depending on what you're cooking. And then we have the adjustable air vent down here. On the back side here, we did heat boxes, and the funny thing is I wound up using them more for storing wood than anything. They work really well because as you're cooking, you're drying your wood out. So you've always got nice dry wood. And but later, I mean, if I decide to, I can always put rib racks in there and use them for that. I have right now I have a 1/2 inch hole in the back on each one for ventilation, so you get minimal amount of hot air coming in there, but it can definitely we can definitely open it up and you could cook ribs in there without a problem. And then the wheels. I upgraded on my wheels. I originally had regular trailer wheels on it, but I decided to go with these because I wanted a good tire for towing. These are ST145 R12s radials. They're 10 ply, so the thing tows really well. Before I had a narrow footprint on there, and now these grab the road a lot better than your standard trailer tires do. So I went ahead and bought 3 of them, and so I have a spare up here. Another thing that I should mention too is the tongue on this was 4 foot long. We took the old one out and extended it with a 6 foot tongue and used 2.5 inch box, 3/8 inch thick, and extended that another 2 feet because with only 4 foot of pipe coming out of there, it really had to, I mean, it had my tongue right here, so obviously towing was a nightmare, would be a nightmare if like that. So I went ahead and we just extended that out right out of the gate, and it tows really good. Surprisingly enough, this thing weighs 1,585 pounds, so it's pretty important that you have your center of gravity needs to be nice and low for cornering and stuff like that. With a trailer this narrow, you need to make sure you get your grill down as low as you can. And in this case, I think we got it about as low as it could be. I mean, you could go down maybe another inch, but that'd be it. But it tows really nice the way it is. So I'm very pleased with how it turned out. I did another video that I posted earlier, but I did it with my iPhone, so it didn't really turn out that good. So I'm using my HD camera this time to get a little better quality video for you. But if you have any questions or anything, just post comments or whatever, and I'll reply back. And but overall, it's just a simple grill, but I'm very happy with how it turned out. It cooks really well, and the reverse flow design, I'm really glad I went with that because it really helps to balance out the heat pretty well on these gauges. And that's another thing I'll mention to you too while I'm talking about gauges. These things are really nice. I started out with some cheap gauges. They were like $10 a piece, and in a matter of 2 months they were not working properly. So I went ahead and upgraded to these TrueTels, and they're not cheap, but man, they work so much better. And these particular ones glow in the dark too. Whenever you put a little light to them, you take your phone and put a little light on it, and it lights up for like an hour. And that comes in real handy when you're cooking at night. But other than that, pretty much it. And then another thing I'd recommend too, spare tire hauler, really handy because it's adjustable. You can just, if you want to move it up or front or back, you can move it easily. If you want to put a mount for your propane tank on here, you could, and you had to move it up, it's not a big deal. I've got about a foot of flexibility either direction to go with it, so that's that. And then important to mention too, when you build these, you want to weld all the corners really good and tight, because that's going to give you a lot of strength. Keeps it from getting a lot of twist in the frame. And then as far as lighting it up, went with this, just a regular propane tank with a you get these at Harbor Freight. They're, I don't know what they call them, but propane torch extension there. It really lights the grill fast, and it's real nice and convenient. But that's about it, guys. If you, like I say, if you had any questions or anything, just put comments down and I'll be glad to answer them.